Hello everyone and welcome to Non-League Diaries episode 3, and we've got a bit of a special for you today, as not only is my co-conspirator in highlighting non-league football, Nigel, here with me. How are you, sir?
Hi Stephen, good to see you.
But we have some very special guests, as we are going to be talking about the much-loved extra member of all non-league clubs' fan bases. So first, please allow me to introduce Ruth, who has with her Lou and Sid.
Hello.
And also let me introduce for the first time joining us, Andy, who's got his dog Pie.
Hello.
So yeah, this episode is going to be mostly focused on having dogs at non-league. This is something Nigel's very passionate about getting on early, so I'm delighted you could both join us. Ruth, I will come to you first, if I may. Just explain why the having of dogs at non-league grounds is so special.
Well, I think it's the old catchphrase, isn't it? The crowd was one man and his dog. And I think that's true for a lot of grounds. But obviously, people, it doesn't fail to raise a smile on people's faces when they see a dog at the football.
And do you take both Lou and Sid, or do you alternate when you can go? What's your personal situation with regards to taking dogs? And who do you go to see?
Well, my team is AFC Fylde. I was born and lived all my life in Kirkham, so they are my team. But since they got into the National League, they don't let dogs in. So we are ground hoppers as well. So Lou and Sid have been to 61 different grounds, mainly around the Northwest and Yorkshire. But yeah, they come with us, you know, whenever we can take them.
And is there, because obviously that they say about how owners understand their dogs, and you can see by just how well behaved they're being on the screen there, that they clearly have a love of this kind of attention. Is there any grounds that you can tell that they've liked being at, or do they just like being out?
Well, my two aren't the ideal non-league dogs, because Lou hates other dogs and Sid is terrified of the football. So I would guess Sid prefers anywhere with quite a big stand that we can go at the back. Prescott Cables was a good one. That's got a nice big stand we can hide in. Dalbeattie Star's got a big nice stand. So yeah, Sid's choice would be anywhere with a nice stand, and Lou's choice would be anywhere without other dogs.
And Andy, let me bring you in and ask you the same question. Is there, or should I say, what is it about being able to take your dog to non-league football that's so appealing?
It just opens you up to talk to all the characters and all the people that make non-league great, really. I think sometimes before I went with a dog, you'd see all these people and you want to have a chat with them and think, oh, he's a big character, she's a big character, and you wouldn't really have an in. But as soon as you wander around with a dog, even in the unfriendly world of London, people will come and talk to you, complete strangers, if you've got a dog, and they really sort of open the world up for you a bit. So it just makes sort of the world of non-league a bit of a friendlier place, really, which for me is absolutely fantastic.
And I know you said that that Pie has a favourite team, does it?
Yeah, she loves she's a big fan of Fisher. She's got a Fisher scarf on here. Based in South London, just a few tube stops away from us. They've got the nice background of Canary Wharf behind one of the goals, which is fantastic. We go and watch Sutton United a bit as well. We've got a few family connections down there. And it's great that there's a National League team that actually lets dogs in, which is good fun. She's watched big teams like Leyton Orient and things like that in her time. And then Clapton CFC as well, Clapton Community Football Club. Fantastic left wing community football team that's quite near to me as well. And we go and see them a little bit as well. So yeah, it's fantastic. Get to see a few teams across London.
No, it's excellent. And Nigel, let's bring you in, because this was your brainchild to have this sort of special episode. What is it about seeing people bringing their dogs to non-league that you enjoy so much?
I've always been really interested in it, and I think it's one of those sort of, it's not an oddball thing, but it's a very English, you know, British whatever thing of these islands. It's something that I don't know. I mean, Ruth probably knows, but I don't know if it's done regular abroad or anywhere else. But
Yeah,
I was just going to say,
Germany.
because we've got a pyramid the way we have, our football system is unique to start with, and it's these sort of little quirks that we have that I don't think get highlighted. And obviously, Ruth's Twitter account is quite popular. I mean, if you want to tell me what you're going to say, Ruth, about it, do they do it abroad quite a lot then, this sort of thing, or?
Yeah, we like to go to Germany a couple of times a year to get some games in, and they are, I would say, just as into it as we are taking the dogs to football. There is actually a German non-league dogs Twitter account as well.
Really?
Excuse my pronunciation, but it's Sportsplatzhund. And so, yeah, clubs like Altona, Hamburg, Volker. Yeah, we've been to all those places, and numerous dogs there.
See, sorry, Steve, I want to say my dog's never been, mainly because where my local side in Northwest County, Steeton, played, it wasn't really suitable for her because she's a Jack Russell. Well, I call her Jack Russell terrorist, not a terrier. That's what me and my wife call her. And I'm dying to take her to our new ground when we open. But I was just wondering, I don't know what Stephen's going to ask, but I was going to ask what reaction you get from other people. There must be some people that aren't very comfortable with it, or think like, oh, what you brought that dog for is, do you get any negative stuff? I noticed Andy's dog were running on pitch in that video the other day, so I don't know how that went down when he tackled that player, but it's certainly better defence than that EFL side that I support anyway. So
I think I think you'll be sharing the link with the viewers afterwards.
I will do. Yes, I will. I'll find it and share it. But what I was going to say is, do you get the negative, any negative stuff back, or is it mostly positive?
I mean, you get one or two, right? But like in general, like, in life, you'll get that, right? Like 10 people react positively to something, there'll be one person who reacts negatively to it, and I think that's fair enough. Like, not everything's going to be for every single person, and just don't bother them and leave them to it, and that's absolutely fine. I think that applies here as well, to be honest. Like, even my dad's afraid of dogs, he doesn't really like it, but I don't force him to sort of have my dog sat on his lap if he goes to football or something. And you just manage it like that. There will be people that won't like it, and then again, that's the beauty of non-league. You're not going to be allocated to sit in seat A of the so-and-so stand behind the goal or whatever. You can go wherever you want. So it might be that I'm stood somewhere and someone suddenly lights up a fag and I don't particularly want to inhale all of that, so I'll go move somewhere else. Or it might be that someone turns up and sees a dog they don't like and they go and stand somewhere else. So I think, that's another of the things in non-league. You mentioned being an EFL fan. I grew up watching Bournemouth for many years, and that was one of the things that I didn't like about being in an EFL stadium all the time, that I was stuck next to somebody if somebody always shouts negative things, or somebody that smells, or somebody that sort of sprays drink over everyone or whatever. You were stuck next to them. But in non-league, you can move wherever you want. So that's a real positive.
Just to touch on a couple of points that you both made there, and I'll come to you first, Ruth. I believe you mentioned, was it Hamburg, when you mentioned about clubs you visited when you were in Germany. When you are going abroad, is it like it is here, where it's mostly the non-league, lesser-known sides, or are there teams that have got a more elite status, if you like, that will allow it when you go abroad? Because as you say, most most teams from sort of National League up don't allow it in England.
No, yeah, it's definitely sort of at the same level as over here. Yeah, definitely. My personal favourite club in Hamburg is Altona. They're kind of where all the disillusioned San Pauli fans are now going to, and it's just a really, really cool club. They're kind of partnered with Dulwich Hamlet in this country, play friendlies and stuff. So that would be my favourite German team. But yeah, for dogs, it's a similar level to here.
Cool. And just to touch on a point with you, if I may, Andy, about we all see videos, even in the newest Coral advert, I don't know if you've seen it, we all see videos of dogs running on the pitch. Is that something that only happens very rarely, or is it a common occurrence with this allowance to let dogs come?
Luckily, it's just been the once, and it was completely my fault. I stood her down the front. I was chatting away to my mate Mark, and we both had a nice pint of lager in our hand. It was a nice warm April afternoon, and yeah, I stood her right next to the pitch. There was just like a little kind of pillar, not even really a fence, and the ball got played up the line, and Pi decided that she was going to latch onto it, and yeah, she rushed on and took out one of the Clapton players, and it was completely my fault though. But haven't seen it happen in a couple of years of taking her. Apart from that, but yeah, I think like Ruth will know this, and looking at all the pictures on her page, like the reactions of the dogs are completely different. Like Pi really wants to get involved, and she wants the ball, and so she's always like sort of right up against the fence. But a lot of them will be maybe have their one eye on the T-bar, or sort of a toy they've brought or something like that. So I don't think all of them are busting a gut to get on the pitch.
Nigel, you wanted to add something into that?
I just wanted to ask Ruth, because she reminded me with a picture behind her about the non-league Dogs Day. Is that something you were involved with or have organised, or is that something someone else organised? The non-league Dog Day?
Yeah, well, it was West Didsbury who did the first one, because they've always been a really dog-friendly club, and they used it as a means to try and get more people in. So if you brought a dog, you got a discount on the admission. I think there was 20 odd dogs at the first one, and then Maltby Main did one, and they broke the world record. That was all very official, with 77 dogs. And the last one West Didsbury had was in 2008. They got 58 dogs to 580 people. And it's just amazing. It's just a great atmosphere. You know, you would think with that many dogs, you know, there might be some sort of trouble, but absolutely nothing. And then, so the clubs organise it, and I just kind of promote it and turn up. And Fisher did one last December. I think it was the 7th of December last year, and I just happened to be in London that weekend, so Andy kindly arranged it for when I was down there. And I think you got a few new dogs coming down, didn't you?
Yeah, that was good. It wasn't quite on the scale of the other ones. I think we had sort of 10 or 11 dogs there in total, and a couple that have come again since, which was the main point really. It's like getting a few more through the gate, but just trying to let people know that they can bring their dogs really, because you probably get the same, Ruth, if I chat to people and they ask what I've been up to, or occasionally I've been walking Pi home in a football scarf, and they go, "Where have you been?" And I say, "Oh, she's been up to the football," and they can't quite believe that you take your dog to the football. So it's always nice, and sounds a bit stupid to say, "Oh, it's an education process" or something like that, but a lot of people don't know that you can take your dog, and they're always surprised to see that they've been. So yeah, it's just nice to let people know really. Yeah,
Just so one quick thing,
that was great,
just
wasn't
one.
it?
Yeah, go on. Sorry, I was going to ask Andy, because I know Stephen and probably want to move on to cup games and stuff in a second. But what I was going to ask you is, and it's just gone completely out of my mind. Oh yeah, have you been on any? Has anybody else had you on local TV or on any sort of news programs or anything, either of you? Andy, first.
No, I haven't. Have you, Ruth? I mean, it was, you know, it was a lot smaller scale than that. Like, where another one, if you're a dog owner, there were sort of dog blogs and websites and things, and a couple of sort of dog bloggers from London came along to the non-league dogs day at Fisher last Christmas and sort of did interviews and videos and things, but hasn't got any bigger than that. But again, I can sure you can share links with your viewers afterwards, like the non-league dogs days that Ruth is talking about. They had Sky Sports News come in to film them,
Right.
didn't they, Ruth? And I think that's
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Yeah. So there's been Sky Sports. I was asked to go on Radio 5 Live.
Wow.
There's been small articles. One was in 442 magazine. Lou was actually on the front of the Stand fanzine. He was a cover star, and we're just waiting for. There's a magazine called Season Zine, and that's meant to be due out before Christmas. And there should be a big spread in that about me and non-league dogs.
Cool. Very good. Stephen?
Before we move on to things other than dogs at football, this is my cat. A quick question. Do you ever see other animals other than dogs ever turning up and you think, do you know what, this is taking it to a whole nother level?
I think there was one this summer when the club started playing pre-season friendlies where there was an alpaca.
Yeah.
That
it was
got
near
onto
me,
the
yeah.
pitch
It was
from
Huddersfield
the
way, wasn't it?
sideline.
Wakefield.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Alpaca invaded the pitch and ended up on the BBC Breakfast News the next morning.
Yeah, well,
You can't beat
Bromley do have a club cat called Gareth. He can be seen lounging in the clubhouse on match days. But there's been cows that have got into grounds. It's just escaping me at the moment where that was. Yeah, like Andy says, the alpaca. There's been foxes. Obviously rabbits, you know. But yeah, cats do pop up every now and again.
On a more, I don't want to say the darker side of football, but they say football is more business than sport and entertainment these days. Are a lot of clubs putting a tariff on taking dogs now, or is it like throw a quid in maybe? What's the scale that the clubs are looking at for you to take your dogs?
I've never known anyone charge to take the dogs in, so I've never heard of that.
No, I think it's more like they'll put out a bowl of water or something like that.
Yeah.
And even Dulwich Hamlet, they even have a special dog scarf in the club shop, like a kid size one that they sell to dog owners. So I think it's more like they see it as almost a way to get shares on social media and things like that, than to make a pound or two, thankfully. Thankfully for my bank balance.
There, Andy. We couldn't quite catch what you were saying there because your signal was dropping. But from what we managed to get, it sounds like you were mostly agreeing with what Ruth was saying and mentioning about having particular dog merchandise available as an extra sort of caveat to what they do. One final question on animals, and Nigel, I might actually start with you for this one, because as I said at the start, you were so passionate about having this as a discussion point. Dogs are very important to a lot of people in terms of companionship and mental health. Do you think it's important that we continue to allow them into these football stadiums, and should it be something that teams higher up the pyramid look at?
Oh yeah, but this, I mean, even from a a mental health point of view, a lot of people do have dogs because it helps them with the mental health. And obviously, they're not just the dog; they're part of the family, etc.
Yeah.
And a lot of dog owners won't leave the dogs anyway at home. So some people might not attend the football because they don't want to leave the dog at home for 4 hours or longer, depending where they're going to watch football. So it makes perfect sense to allow dogs to go. But I mean, from what I could see, from my experience, I mean, I've not gone to non-league all the time, but I started going to non-league in the 80s. It was a lower tier thing that that I noticed was getting more popular as broadband came on and the YouTube videos, internet, and Zoom meetings like this. People were producing videos about not dogs at football, and then obviously Ruth's account was probably one of the first non-league dog accounts that I came across, which I've followed a few times when people aren't getting me banned and I have to start again. So I have followed Ruth about 4 times, to be honest. But yeah, I just think it's something that I find it interesting because I love animals anyway. I've got a house full of animals. I've got rats, cats, dogs, all sorts of stuff. And because of that connection I have with animals, it's two passions in one. I love football, and one of my passions is animals. So when I go to the football and there's a dog there, I just can't leave it alone. To be honest, I've got to go over and pet it and say hello. And normally, I just completely ignore the owner and just go straight for the dog. So,
Let's take a quick look at action on the field. Obviously, Nigel, we recorded episode 2 just yesterday, and we focused on some of the games. In terms of some of the non-league representation in the FA Cup, Boreham Wood and Canvey Island are actually playing while we record. Nigel, I don't know if you're able to get us a score update on that one.
Yeah, it's 2-0 to Boreham Wood at the moment. They've scored 2 in quick succession. I think they're still in the first half. Just give me one moment, I shall tell you. They let 2 goals in the first half hour, and it's nearly half time. It's still 2-0 to Boreham Wood.
And it looks like if they can see that through, they get the luxury of a home tie with Millwall. The FA Cup draw was also done tonight. Let's first send our commiserations to the likes of Dagenham and Redbridge, Darlington, Oxford City, who all lost their FA Cup second round ties yesterday.
Yep.
They don't let dogs in, so it's fine.
There were a few non-league sides make it to the hallowed grail of the 3rd round. As we mentioned, it looks like Boreham Wood are going to get Millwall. I believe Stockport got West Ham, which is a hell of a draw for them, isn't it, Nigel?
Yeah, it's. I mean,
against the Hammers, isn't it?
That's it. That's probably one of the biggest games they've had in since they got turned the club around from the last few years, and they have a good chance of winning that. There won't be any fans there though unless things change dramatically. But it's good to see that there will be fans in at other games, which is going to be very strange. I mean, I'm crossing my fingers for Marine that they can have fans in because they could beat Tottenham at that ground, knowing that ground well. If it's a bad day weather-wise near the river, they've got a good chance of beating them because it can get really rough.
I was going to say yes, Marine, who are the focal point of the backdrop behind me this time round. They got probably for me the glamour tie with a home game against Spurs. Ruth, what's it mean to non-league sides to get to this stage, to get these sorts of draws?
Well, obviously it's a bit different this year with not having fans in and sort of the revenue from that. But obviously, you know, to get a home draw and, you know, to get on the TV, you know, that sort of money is going to see clubs through for a good few years, you know. So it's everything at that level. I mean, Marine Tottenham is just phenomenal, you know, beyond the wildest dreams, really. And I imagine those houses at the side of that ground, they're going to be getting a few requests to have a January garden party, I expect.
You're correct in what you say there, because Spurs are obviously a massive draw, but when you are at the levels further down the pyramid, any team in that sort of spectrum, I mean, let's not undermine the value that Chorley got, Andy. I mean, they've got Derby at home. Derby may be a struggling championship club at the moment, but that's still massive pull for Chorley, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The prize money, and then also, you know, TV money, you know, especially this year, I think they've increased the amount of money given to the losing team as well, haven't they? And then, you know, also just people knowing about the club and awareness going forward, that more people are more likely to go down there. Oh, I saw them play Spurs on the telly. I'll pop down, you know, and that longer term benefit can't be overstated as well.
No, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Listen, Ruth, Andy, thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet Pi, to meet Lou, to meet Sid, and to hear the stories and to get a better understanding of why it's important, A, that we continue to allow dogs and, in some cases, other animals to attend the football, but B, to get a better sense of the part they play in the football community. I can see Pi is still there, so I'll say goodbye to Andy and Pi first.
See you later. Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much for joining us. And Ruth, I'm not sure if you've been deserted there, so I'll just say goodbye to you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thanks for joining us. And Nige, as always, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for sorting this one out, and I'm sure we will be seeing each other again very soon.
Hopefully, yeah. That's great, Stephen. Thanks to Ruth and Andy for coming on and bringing the dogs on.
No,
I've not seen it done before on this type of production anyway by supporters, so hopefully we'll get around to do it again near non-league dogs day. Maybe give that a bit of a push when we get back to normal.
Yeah, that'd be good. And just as a final thought, good luck to all the remaining non-league teams in the FA Cup, and to the wider non-league community. I genuinely hope that you can all get fans back in as soon as possible, and we can get back to something that resembles normality. But until then, thank you very much, and we will see you all again soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.